It is the summer of 1912. A man named Wilfred Voynich is standing inside a dusty Jesuit college outside Rome. He is a rare book dealer. He has spent his entire life hunting for valuable manuscripts. And then, he opens a box he wasn't supposed to find. Inside is a small book, bound in faded animal skin. The pages are yellowed and fragile. But the writing inside, nobody had ever seen anything like it. Wilfred stood there, in that dusty room, and realized something that would consume the rest of his life. He was holding a book that no human being on Earth could read. He bought it immediately. He spent every year after that trying to decode it. He brought in experts, historians, language scholars, and he died, years later, without ever understanding a single sentence. A 600-year-old book had defeated him completely. And here is what makes this truly haunting. That same book is sitting right now, today, inside Yale University's library. And in the 114 years since Wilfred found it, nobody else has done any better. This is the story of the Voynich Manuscript, the most mysterious book ever discovered. And in today's video, I want to answer 3 questions. 1. What exactly is inside this book, and why is it so strange? 2. Who has actually tried to decode it, and what happened to them? 3. And this is the part that changes everything. What did scientists just discover in 2024 and 2026 that we have never known before? Let's begin. The Voynich Manuscript is 240 pages long. It is written in a script that no one has ever seen in any other document in history. Scholars call this script Voynichese. Now here is what makes Voynichese so strange. It is not random scribbling. It flows perfectly from left to right, like English or French. Certain symbols appear in patterns, exactly where vowels normally appear in real human languages. Words repeat at the same frequency as actual everyday words. In short, it behaves like a real language. It just doesn't match any language that has ever existed. And the illustrations are somehow even stranger. Half the book is filled with plants. But these are plants that do not exist on Earth. Botanists have studied every page. Not one of the species matches anything in the natural world. There are also diagrams of stars and astronomical charts. Except the stars don't match our sky. And then, there are pages of what appear to be bathing scenes, figures in pools of liquid connected by strange tubes and pipes. Pages that modern researchers now believe may be coded medical diagrams. The book is divided into clear sections: herbal, astronomical, biological, and what appears to be a recipe section at the end. Short paragraphs, each beginning with a small star symbol, as if someone is listing instructions. Instructions for what? Nobody knows. Carbon dating places the manuscript between 1404 and 1438. So whoever wrote this wrote it over 600 years ago, in the middle of the Renaissance, and then either hid what it said or took the key to their grave. Now here is where it gets truly fascinating, and a little bit humbling. Think about who has tried to decode this book. William Friedman, the man who cracked Japan's military cipher during World War II, one of the greatest codebreakers in American history. He worked on the Voynich Manuscript for decades. He failed. Alan Turing, the genius who broke the Nazi Enigma machine and arguably helped win the war. He had a copy of the Voynich Manuscript. He couldn't read it either. The NSA, the United States National Security Agency, has been formally obsessed with this book. They have declassified multiple internal research papers about it. Their best cryptographers, their most advanced computers, nothing. And in late 2025, an AI system trained on 37 million historical texts was turned loose on the manuscript. The results? Academic linguists are still arguing about them. The AI could identify that certain pages were probably about plants, others probably about medicine, others probably about astronomy. But translate it? Not one sentence. Now think about what this means. Human beings split the atom. We walked on the moon. We built artificial intelligence that can write poetry and diagnose cancer. And yet, somewhere in a locked library at Yale University sits a 600-year-old book written by a single human being with a goose quill and a pot of ink that all of us, combined, cannot read. Here is the biggest irony of all. The same people who trusted their codes to break enemy military communications during wartime could not crack a medieval book. Whatever this person did, it worked. For 600 years. So why has every attempt failed? To understand that, you need to understand what makes a code breakable. Every code ever cracked in history had one thing in common. The codebreakers knew something about the original language. When they broke the Enigma machine, they knew it was encoding German. When they decoded Egyptian hieroglyphics, they had the Rosetta Stone, a document that showed the same text in 3 different languages. With the Voynich Manuscript, we have none of that. We don't know what language it is encrypting. We don't even know if it is encrypting a language. And researchers have proposed 3 major theories for why nobody can crack it. Theory 1. It is a hoax. Someone in the 1400s created a fake book of forbidden knowledge and sold it to wealthy collectors for a fortune. Emperor Rudolph II, the Holy Roman Emperor, reportedly paid 600 gold ducats for this manuscript. That is millions of dollars in today's money. The hoax theory is tempting, but there is a serious problem. To fake Voyniches convincingly, by hand, with a quill, you would need to maintain statistically consistent word frequencies, grammatical position patterns, and structural rules across 240 pages of writing. Modern researchers have shown this would be nearly impossible without a computer. And in 1420, computers did not exist. Theory 2. It is a real language that is now extinct. A small community in 15th century Europe spoke a language that left absolutely no other written trace. Researchers have tested candidate languages, Manchu, Nahuatl, Turkic variants, Proto-Romance languages. None have held up. Theory 3, and this is the most chilling one. It is a cipher so complex that it was specifically designed to be unbreakable. In January 2026, a peer-reviewed study in the journal Cryptologia proposed something called the Naibi cipher, a medieval encryption system where no single symbol ever consistently maps to the same letter. The cipher uses a system based on the randomness of dice rolls, creating encryption so unpredictable that standard analysis cannot find a pattern. If this theory is correct, someone in the 1400s built an unbreakable code, and then the only person who knew how to read it disappeared. But here is where things get interesting again. Because in the last 2 years, researchers have made discoveries that shift the picture in a way we haven't seen before. Discovery 1, September 2024. Scientists used multispectral imaging on the manuscript. This technology uses light wavelengths invisible to the human eye to reveal hidden writing on old documents. And on the very first page of the Voynich Manuscript, they found something that had been invisible for 400 years, hidden columns of letters, written by a man named Johannes Marcus Marci, a Prague doctor who owned the manuscript in the 1660s. He had tried to decode it. He had written out the alphabet, in columns, on the very first page, attempting different substitution ciphers. And then he gave up. He sent the manuscript to the most brilliant scholar he knew, a Jesuit named Athanasius Kircher in Rome, with a letter saying, essentially, "I cannot figure this out. Maybe you can." Kircher couldn't either. What this discovery tells us is something both fascinating and sobering. Even the people who originally owned this book, people who lived closer to its creation by centuries, could not read it. Discovery 2, 2024 research published in Social History of Medicine. Researchers Keagan, Brewer, and Michelle Lewis proposed that the manuscript may be a censored medical guide, specifically about women's health and gynecology. In the medieval era, writing openly about such topics was considered dangerous. Physicians used codes and hidden language to discuss medical procedures that the church considered forbidden. The unusual diagrams, the tubes, the pools, the figures, may be coded anatomical illustrations. And Discovery 3, 2026, the Naib cipher study. Researchers showed that a dice-based medieval encryption system could produce text with all the statistical properties of Voynichese. This gives us, for the first time, a plausible mechanical answer to how the encryption works. We now have a likely subject, medical knowledge, and a likely method, dice-based cipher. We just don't have the key. Remember Wilfrid Voynich, the man who opened that box in Rome in 1912. He became obsessed. He dedicated every year he had left to solving this mystery, and he died without reading a single word. He is not alone. The list of brilliant people destroyed by this book reads like a who's who of 20th century genius. Friedman, Turing, NSA cryptographers, AI systems trained on tens of millions of documents, all defeated by one person with a quill in 1420. And here is the question that stays with me. Why would someone go to this much effort to encrypt 240 pages so completely that 600 years of human civilization cannot crack them? The answer has to be, whatever is in this book was worth protecting at any cost. Maybe it was medical knowledge that could get someone burned alive. Maybe it was a language spoken by people who no longer exist. Maybe it was the life's work of a single genius who refused to let the world take it from them. We don't know yet, but for the first time in history, we have the tools, the technology, and enough pieces of the puzzle that researchers believe a real breakthrough is close. The Voynich Manuscript has kept its secrets for 600 years. It has outlasted empires, wars, the invention of computers, artificial intelligence, but it has not outlasted human curiosity. And that curiosity, that refusal to give up, is exactly what will finally open it.